Well, welcome back, folks. I thought I'd do a brief video today talking about parts tumbling, which is really a companion topic to zinc plating. Over the last year or two, I've had several people ask me what do I use for a tumbler, or how do I go about parts tumbling. They've heard me probably reference it here and there in my videos, and I thought, well, since I've been doing a series on zinc plating, I'd just continue on and talk briefly about parts tumbling. This is a tumbler that I've been using for many years. It's a Bulldog brand. I think you can see there it says Bulldog Premium Parts Polisher. I think they are based out of Tennessee, the U.S. state of Tennessee. I couldn't swear to it though because it's been a long time since I bought this tumbler. It's well used. It's been very serviceable for me. It's worked very well. I've been very happy with it. And one of the cool things about this tumbler I found is it doesn't walk. And what I mean by that is when you turn it on, it doesn't move across the table, the workbench, or if you hit it on the floor, across the floor. I have a good friend of mine that had bought or purchased a tumbler, and I believe it was from Harbor Freight. And he took it back after a few days or a week because it literally walked across his workbench, and he was concerned it was going to fall on the floor. This one does not move at all, and I'll turn it on and you can watch. I could run it like that for days on end. In fact, I have. And even if I didn't have it on any bench pads like you see here, I hit it right on the workbench or on the floor, it does not walk. Some of them do, as I just shared with you, but this one doesn't. Never had a problem with that. And I've run this tumbler for literally 4, 5, 6 days at a time without turning it off, and it's never moved a fraction. What I use for tumbling medium, is simply walnut shells, crushed walnut shells. I have tried other things over the years, including crushed corn cobs, and there's other media that you can use. But for my purposes, which is basically tumbling motorcycle parts and similar small items, I found crushed walnut shells works best for me. This is fairly clean. As the media gets used, it will get contaminated and it'll start looking like a very dark coffee grounds, very dark brown. It'll start looking dirty. This is in pretty good shape right here. You can use additives like Flitz. I have used Flitz in the past, and if in a moment here I'll put a little photo of a bottle of Flitz media additive, and it's supposed to speed up and improve the polishing process. I have really not seen a lot of difference whether I use Flitz or not. I don't have any right now, but there are those people that like it. I can just tell you from personal experience, it doesn't seem to have made a whole lot of difference. What I'm going to do here for the demonstration purposes, I have a few parts. These parts were recently zinc plated. In fact, I just plated them just this morning. I did a very quick polish with a wire brush to get the polishing process started, but as you can see there, they are far from being polished. And again, these are for the rear brake rod assembly on the Yamaha YL1. So I'm going to throw these into this tumbler and just start it up and let it run. Normally on just a couple of parts like this, I probably wouldn't put them in a tumbler. I usually only tumble when I've got a fair number of parts. I would typically just polish these by hand. But for demonstration purposes, I thought I would show you what these will look like when they come out. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw them in a tumbler, turn the tumbler on, and I'm going to let it run. How long? Well, that depends. Normally I tumble parts for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours or so. I will check them in there a couple of times. 24 hours would be about the minimum I would tumble. 36 to 48 hours is more common, and I might even go more than that, 72 or more hours, depending on the part and what needs to be done, or how far I have to go with it to tumble it and polish it up. Tumbling is a polishing process. It really isn't designed to remove corrosion, serious corrosion or rust, especially like you would see on steel. They're not designed to do that. You should pre-prep parts if you're going to try to do a rust removal. I only use my tumbler here for polishing. I do not use it for anything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on now, and I'm going to let it run for a day or two. And on the other end of this process, I'll show you live opening up the tumbler when I'm going to complete the process. And we'll talk a little bit further about the process at that time. It's been about 24 hours now since I started this. I have not checked it since I started it yesterday. So let's see what we got going here. You have to sift through the media. There's the spring. There's the nut. Should be a washer. Felt something down in here somewhere. And that should still be a little washer in here somewhere. Right there. So there's our 4 parts. After about 24 hours or so of tumbling, keep in mind that the finish of the quality plated part, when we're all done with this, will be very much related to the quality of the substrate that we started with. In other words, if the substrate or the material itself was rough, had a poor finish, even if you can get it to plate, it still might have a rough finish because zinc plating will not fill any voids or surface irregularities. It will simply plate over the top of it. It's very, very thin. So you can see, I think, where we're at right now after 24 hours. I think I'm going to throw this back in and allow it to run for another 24 or so, and open it up tomorrow and see what it looks like. It's been about 24 hours since we last checked this, 48 hours or so total polishing time. So let's see what we got here. I'm going to show you a little trick for finding your small parts that are down in this media without having to sift through it with your hands. Go get yourself an inexpensive colander. What you see here I picked up at, I don't know where I got, dollar store or something. And then I just got a square plastic bucket that fits into nicely like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the media into the colander, which will allow the media to sift through, and all but the very tiniest parts should get captured, as you see there. And you can shake it a little bit if you want. You can see our parts right there. We had 4 of them. Should be a washer in here somewhere, right there. There's the washer. That works really well. So if you're ever going to polish any frequency, consider giving yourself a colander. So there's our parts. This nut came out pretty good, actually. It's nice and bright. This barrel, not too bad. The washer and the spring are okay, not great, but they were the roughest. The washer in particular was very rough shape. Had a lot of pitting and corrosion. And the spring is okay, it's serviceable. But again, it had quite a bit of corrosion on it also. This could have been run, if I wanted to, for another day or two. Again, 24 to 48 hours is usually about how long I run it for, but you could keep going with it if you wanted to. So that's kind of what I do with polishing. Again, a walnut-based media. I don't usually use an additive like Flitz. You certainly can if you wish. And after about 48 hours, you can see how these parts came out. Not too bad. This in particular, I think, came out pretty good. But that was the best piece to start with. These others, especially these two here, were in rougher shape to begin with. Even though they plated okay, the substrate was not in the great condition. So it shows the importance of having a quality part to begin with if you want a quality finished, plated, polished part. That's it for this follow-up video on using a tumbler for parts polishing. Any questions, drop me a note. Otherwise, thanks for watching.